Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, so just for the record, we are doing chapter 21, Nectar of Devotion. And I was just starting to say that in the previous chapter, chapter 20, there's a description of what you call Anya Rupa, which is another form of Krishna. But in that, it's like entirely different form of Krishna, like, like Lord Ram, another form of Krishna. But again, in a different way, it tracks the affection of a particular devotee. So that is Anya Rupa. Here in chapter 21, the description is of what's known as Swarupa. Swarupa means Krishna's own form, but disguised. And in case you missed it from this paragraph, the idea of all these rupas is simply one, and that is to stimulate a devotee's affection. That's the only reason whatever is being done is being done, to attract the love and affection and the attention of the devotee. So here in this paragraph, it starts with saying that there are two ways. One is called Avrat Rupa, which Avrat means hidden or covered. Actually, covered is a better translation. Avrat means covered. Covered Rupa, Avrat Rupa means a form where Krishna has disguised himself. In other words, he's covered himself in a disguise. Most likely by different kind of dress than normal. So now, don't confuse Avrit Rupa with Anya Rupa that I said, because Anya Rupa means just another form completely. Whereas in this, the form is the same, still Krishna, looking like Krishna, but maybe some kind of disguise, or makeup or a dress. So Anya Rupa is totally different expansion of Krishna, whereas Avrit Swarupa is Krishna's own form. Swarupa means own form, just to clarify this. And it's simply a disguise to look like somebody else or to look different. But the form is the same. Okay, and the next paragraph will give an example of this. So would somebody like to read the next paragraph?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes. I'm sorry. Two people spoke up. What happened?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, Prabhuji, I can read.
Go ahead.
One devotee praised the bodily feature of Krishna when he saw the Lord in his manifested personal feature. He exclaimed, "How wonderful is the personal feature of Lord Krishna! How his neck is just like a conch shell. His eyes are so beautiful, as though they themselves were encountering the beauty of a lotus flower. His body is just like the tamal tree, very blackish. His head is protected with the canopy of hair. There are the marks of shivers on his chest, and he is holding his conch shell. By such beautiful bodily features, the enemy of the demon Madhu has appeared so pleasing that he can bestow upon me the transcendental bliss simply by my seeing his transcendental qualities."
Hari Bol. So again, actually there's a saying in Hindi, it says, "Jahan na jaye Ravi, wahan jaye Kavi." Have you heard that? What it means is that,
Yes, Prabhu.
yeah, poet has such a wonderful imagination. It says, even if there's a place where the sunshine cannot enter, the imagination or the mind of a poet enters. And that's why we see so many different similes in the poetry. And that's what it's called. Oh, it sounds like poetry. This nicely flows and all sorts of nice similes. So I mean, look here. This devotee is seeing Krishna's neck like a conch shell. I mean, I know that I will not. I'm a very boring person. There's no kavi in me. So I see a neck, There's no conch shell there. But this poet is able to see a conch shell. Eyes are so beautiful, looks like lotus. Body is like tamal tree. I mean, who would see a tamal tree in another person's body? But the poet is able to see that. Radharani is able to switch so much that she actually hugs it, thinking it is Krishna. A canopy of hair. Well, I can't relate with that anymore. But only one person got my joke. So thanks, Rajan Prabhu, for laughing. I appreciate that. Okay. Let's see what else is there. A mark of Srivatsa. Everybody knows what Srivatsa is? What is Srivatsa?
Yeah, Lakshmi, Lord Lakshmi, Mother Lakshmi. Yeah.
Okay, but what is it?
A
It's
symbol
a mole,
of hair,
Prabhu.
small hair, white hair.
Yes.
A tuft of white hair.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, thank you. Representing Mother Lakshmi. Yes. And he's holding his cards. Okay. The enemy of demon Madhu. So what's the name of Krishna that means demon? Enemy of demon Madhu?
Madhusudan?
Yes, Madhusudan, correct. So he's saying, so pleasing that he can bestow upon me transcendental bliss simply by my seeing his transcendental qualities. I mean, clearly, some very pure devotees speaking, who can see like this, feel like this, and feel the bliss just thinking about the qualities. Okay, so now let's talk about the qualities. Go ahead, somebody read, please.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Srila Rupa Goswami, after consulting various scriptures, has enumerated the transcendental qualities of the Lord as follows. 1. Beautiful features of the entire body. 2. Marked with all auspicious characteristics. 3. Extremely pleasing. 4. Effulgent. 5. Strong. 6. Ever youthful. 7. Wonderful linguistic. 8. Truthful. 9. Talks pleasingly. 10. Fluent. 11. Highly learned. 12. Highly intelligent. 13. A genius. 14. Artistic. 15. Extremely clever. 16. Expert. 17. Grateful. 18. Firmly determined. 19. An expert judge of time and circumstances. 20. Sees and speaks on the authority of the Vedas or scriptures. 21. Pure. 22. Self-control. 23. Steadfast. 24. Forbearing. 25. Forgiving. 26. Grave. 27. Self-satisfied. 28. Possessing equilibrium. 29. Magnanimous. 30. Religious. 31. Heroic. 32. Compassionate. 33. Respectful. 34. Gentle. 35. Liberal. 36. Shy. 37. The protector of surrendered souls. 38. Happy. 39. The well-wisher of devotees. 40. Controlled by love. 41. All auspicious. 42. Most powerful. 43. All famous. 44. Popular. 45. Partial to devotees. 46. Very attractive to all women. 47. All worshipable. 48. All opulent. 49. All honorable. 50. The supreme controller. The supreme personality Godhead has all these 50 transcendental qualities in fullness, as deep as the ocean. In other words, the extent of his qualities is inconceivable. Hare Krishna.
Right. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So 50 of the 64 qualities have been listed here. And the main point that's being made is that these qualities are there in great amount. The simile here has been given as deep as an ocean, which means, very deep. By the way, just total out of context, maybe even a pop quiz trivia. How deep is the Pacific Ocean?
I don't know, Prabhu, but Mariana Trench is 10 kilometers.
I'm sorry, Prabhu?
At Mariana Trench, I think it is 10 kilometers.
Okay, then I haven't heard that. Anybody else? Anyway, so Prabhu's close. I mean, I've heard 8 kilometers, but it could be 10.
It says
Point is-
11,000 meters, Prabhuji. So
Sorry?
that 11,000 meters, so 11 kilometers, right?
Okay. So that's even deeper than I thought. So the point is, or did you just Google it? Ah, okay. Okay.
To be right.
Yeah.
Precise.
So I have got a new term for this. I've got a Google Puran. So you're consulting the Google Puran. And okay, so 11 kilometer it is. My point is, it's very, very deep, which means the quality that he has. Another point is that even Krishna says, I do not know the limit of my own qualities. So it's really inconceivable. Okay, the qualities that he has. Okay, then there's a different point being made in the next paragraph. Let's read that.
I can
Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
Okay, you are going to read. Okay. As parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the individual living entities can also possess all of these qualities in minute quantities, provided they become pure devotees of the Lord. In other words, all of the above transcendental qualities can be present in the devotees in minute quantity, whereas the quantities in fullness are always present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right. So according to the size, the size of the quality also varies. So we are very minute, 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. So accordingly, we have these 50 qualities, but in a very, very small amount. Some could even be almost nil, almost zero, if not actually zero. But they're all there. So we all have these 50 qualities, but in very, very small amount. And some qualities may be more than some other qualities, but they're all there in very small amount. Okay, and then we'll talk about Lord Shiva's qualities and Lord Narayan's qualities in the next few paragraphs. Somebody read the next paragraph, please.
I can go ahead, Prabhuji, if it's
Please
okay.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Besides these, there are other transcendental qualities which are described by Lord Shiva to Parvati in the Padma Purana. And in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in connection with the conversation between the deity of the earth and the king of religion, Yamaraj, it is said therein, persons who are desirous of becoming great personalities must be decorated with the following qualities: truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, perseverance, renunciation, peacefulness, simplicity, control of the senses, equilibrium of the mind, austerity, equality, forbearance, placidity, learning, knowledge, detachment, opulence, chivalry, influence, strength, memory, independence, tactfulness, luster, patience, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, mannerliness, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, gravity, steadiness, faithfulness, fame, respectfulness, and lack of false egotism. Persons who are desiring to become great souls cannot be without any of the above qualities. So we can know for certain that these qualities are found in Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a reference here now. Do you know what dialogue is being referred to here in the Bhagavatam? What is the context? First canto Srimad Bhagavatam. And what form was Dharmaraj in? The religion. What form did it take?
Bull Prabhu.
Bull, yes, exactly.
Sorry?
$65.
No, sorry, Prabhu.
Okay. So, bull. And so that's the dialogue that's going on here. And the reference is that in order to be a great soul, these qualities must be present. And because Krishna is the greatest of the souls, he obviously has all these qualities. Okay. Next paragraph.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Besides all of the above mentioned 50 qualities, Lord Krishna possesses 5 more, which are sometimes partially manifested in the persons of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. These transcendental qualities are as follows. 51, changeless. 52, all cognizant. 53, ever fresh. 54, Satchidanand, possessing an eternal blissful body. 55, possessing all mystic perfections.
Yeah, thank you. So I have to make a confession. I was always under the impression until I read this chapter that Lord Brahma came in the Jiva category,
Yeah.
and therefore he had only 50. And much greater amount than we do, but he had only 50. So I'm not sure, and I know nobody asked this, but I don't know if you had asked me if I could explain why it says Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. Everywhere else where I've read it, it says Lord Shiva. So if any of you know, please tell me, or if you want to do some research, please do and let me know, because this really confused me.
Yeah, Prabhuji, Brahma is a Jiva Tattva, right? So
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
we expect 50.
Yeah. And this is the only place I've read that. No other place I've read that Brahma has this 55 additional qualities. He always talks about Lord Shiva. Anyway, so I just want to make that point, show you my ignorance. And so let's just talk a little bit of these 5 qualities that are in Lord Shiva anyway. One is changeless, which means Lord Shiva never changes. You'll never see an old Lord Shiva. You'll never see a little child Lord Shiva. All cognizant, which means he knows past, present, and future. Ever fresh, no stale things there. And his Satchidanand Vigraha. In other words, he does not have a material body. Okay, his body is Satchidanand, eternally blissful. Okay, and he has all 5 mystic perfections. Sorry, he has all mystic perfections. So how many mystic perfections are there? Anybody knows?
8, right?
8, correct. So he has all of them, to the fullest. So that's why he's called Mahayogi sometimes. He has those 8 mystic perfections. Okay, let's read the next one.
I can read again, Prabhuji, if no one's reading.
Nobody's reading it?
I don't know.
Everybody's shy today. Okay, then go ahead if nobody wants to read it.
Krishna also possesses 5 other qualities which are manifest in the body of Narayan, and they are listed as follows. 56, he has inconceivable potency. 57, uncountable universes generate from his body. 58, he is the original source of all incarnations. 59, he is the giver of salvation to the enemies whom he kills. 60, he is the attractor of the liberated souls. All these transcendental qualities are manifest wonderfully in the personal feature of Lord Krishna.
Right. So now we're talking about Lord Narayan. And implication here is that he's non-different from Mahavishnu, he's non-different from Vibhudakshay Vishnu, he's non-different from Kshirodakshay Vishnu, and it's non-different from Krishna. But the distinction is being made to talk about that these 5 qualities are in Krishna also and in Narayan also, but not in Lord Shiva, not in Lord Brahma, not in the Jivas. Okay, so inconceivable potency, Achinta Shakti, we cannot understand his potency. Things he does, we cannot understand. And as we know from Mahavishnu, all the universes appear. And so Narayan non-different from Mahavishnu. So uncountable universes come out of his body. He's the original source of all incarnations. Right? So all the incarnations come from Kshirodakshay Vishnu and therefore from Lord Narayan. From Narayan, let's just talk for 1 minute. Who's the immediate expansion from Lord Narayan? Or who are the immediate expansions of Lord Narayan?
4 Kumaras?
No. The 4 Sankarshan, Pradyumna,
Yes.
Vasudeva, and Aniruddha.
Correct. Very good.
Chaturvyuham.
Chaturvya, exactly. So then from the Sankarshan comes a second Narayan, believe it or not.
Yeah.
The two Narayans. And then from this second Narayan also come a second Chaturvya. And same Sankarshan, Vasudev,
Pradyumna, Aniruddha.
Aniruddha. So this second Sankarshan is also known as Mahasankarshan. It's Mahasankarshan who expands to Mahavishnu.
Yeah.
Who then Garbhodakshay Vishnu, then Shudakshay Vishnu. So that's the sequence. So I mean, again, they're all non-different. So it's being used interchangeably, but we should know. Okay, any questions on that?
Yeah, Prabhuji, here, so 59, he is a giver of salvation to enemies whom he kills. That is a mention. But where it says that 60 says he is the attractor of a liberated soul, but he gives salvation, he gives the liberation to the devotees also, right?
Well, so the point in 59 is that he's so merciful that even the enemies he's killing, he gives them liberation. And then the next point, 60, is those who are liberated souls. That's not the same thing. This salvation, liberation means you gone to Sahaja Mukti. Whereas liberated souls are present, they're not merged anywhere. They are either in the spiritual world or in the material world, but they're liberated souls. Like the gopis, for example, the gopas, for example, they're liberated souls.
But Prabhuji, those 4 muktis, right, leave Sayuj, but other 4 muktis are also awarded those who go to Vaikuntha, right?
Correct. So what's your...
Those are given by Narayan.
I'm sorry?
Those 4 muktis are given by Narayan, right? For the
Again, Narayan or Vishnu,
right.
Same thing. Lord Ram, same thing. That's what I'm saying. They're not different. So it's being used as Narayan, but they are in other forms also, which are expansions of Narayan. I'm not sure I understand your confusion, Prabhu, so please ask differently.
No, my question was, he gives a mukti to devotees also, those who want to go to Vaikuntha.
Yeah, true.
But explicitly it's not mentioned. So I'm just looking.
No, but the point being made is he's so merciful that even the enemies of him get it.
That's how we have to interpret. Okay, yes, thank you.
That's the point. It doesn't say that others don't get liberation. Of course they do. So that's a given. But you not expect somebody to give liberation to the enemies, but he's so merciful, even the enemies get it when he kills them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, it's a very quiet group today, so I'm getting nervous. Okay, all right. Next paragraph, please.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Please do.
Besides the 60 transcendental qualities, Krishna has 4 more, which are not manifest even in the Narayan form of Godhead. What to speak of the demigods or living entities? They are as follows. 61. He is the performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes, especially his childhood pastimes. Number 62. He is surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. 63. He can attract all living entities all over the universe by playing on his flute. 64. He has wonderful excellence of beauty that cannot be revived anywhere in the creation. Adding to the list these 4 exceptional qualities of Krishna, it is to be understood that the aggregate number of qualities of Krishna is 64. Srila Rupa Goswami has attempted to give evidence from various scriptures all about 64 qualities present in the person of the Supreme Lord. Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, thank you. So here are the 4 qualities out of 64 that is manifested only by Lord Krishna. Even Lord Narayan does not manifest. That means Lord Ram, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Vishnu, nobody manifests these 4 qualities in fullness. And so we'll discuss these in a lot of details. But from the next paragraph on, we are going back to quality number 1. and describe all the way to 64. We won't spend a lot of time in the first 60, but we'll spend a lot of time in 61 through 64. Okay. So unless there's a question, somebody wants to read the next paragraph?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please do.
Okay. 1. Beautiful bodily features. Any comparison of the different parts of the Lord's body to different material objects cannot actually be a complete comparison. Ordinary persons who cannot understand how exalted are the bodily features of the Lord are simply given a chance to understand by a material comparison. It is said that Krishna's face is as beautiful as the moon. His thighs are powerful just like the trunks of the elephants. His arms are just like two pillars. His palms are expanded like lotus flower. His chest is just like a doorway. His lips are dense, and the
Lips.
middle of his body is a terrace.
Right. So once again, the poet in Rupa Goswami is finding all these comparisons or the similes, and just to describe in a very poetic way different parts of Lord's body, which are so beautiful. Okay. Next paragraph, unless there's a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read now.
Please do.
We had a Mridanga class going on in the background, so I was like super quiet.
Oh, okay. Sure, thank you.
Auspicious characteristics. There are certain characteristics of different limbs which are considered to be very auspicious and are fully present in the body of the Lord. In the connection, one friend of Nanda Maharaj, speaking about Lord Krishna, auspicious bodily symptoms, said, "My dear king of the cowherd, I can find 32 auspicious symptoms on the body of your son. I am wondering how this boy could have taken his birth in the family of a cowherd man. Generally, when Lord Krishna appears, he does so in the family of Kshatriya kings, as did Lord Ramachandra, or sometimes in the family of Brahmanas. But Krishna accepted the role of the son of Maharaja Nanda. Despite the fact that Nanda belonged to the Vaishya community, the business of the Vaishya community is trade, commerce, and the protection of cows. Therefore, his friend, who may have been born into a Brahmana family, expended his wonder at how such an exalted child could take birth in the family of Vaishyas. Anyways, he pointed out the auspicious sign on the body of Krishna to the boy's foster father.
Yeah. So interesting point is being made by this friend of Nanda Maharaj. That is, the Lord always appears either in a Brahmin family. What's the example of Lord appearing in Brahmin family?
Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Vamanadev Prabhu?
Yes, Vamanadev. Yes, absolutely. And of course, Kshatriya examples. We have a lot of Kshatriya examples. And so he's saying, how it doesn't make sense that this boy with so many auspicious signs could appear in a Vaishya family. That doesn't happen. And then he points out all these 32 signs on Krishna's body, not realizing that Nanda Maharaj actually is a foster father, not the birth father. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please do.
He continued, this boy has a reddish luster in 7 places. His eyes, the ends of his hands, the end of his legs, his palate, his lips, his tongue, and his nails. A reddish luster in these 7 places is considered to be auspicious. 3 parts of his body are very broad, his waist, forehead, and chest. 3 parts of his body are short, his neck, thighs, and genital. 3 parts of his body are very deep: his voice, intelligence, and navel. There is highness in 5 parts of his body: his nose, arms, ears, forehead, and thighs. In 5 parts of his body, there is fineness: his skin, the hair on his head and on the other parts of his body, his teeth, and his fingertips. The aggregate of all these bodily features is manifest only in the bodies of great personalities.
Yeah. So any explanation required, or are we okay? We can go to the next paragraph. I was just admiring, how these beautiful signs are there. Sometimes we see some of these signs in people, but certainly not everybody with all of these. And, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 maybe, but not much. Okay, next paragraph.
Okay, I can read, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Go ahead.
The faint lines on the palm are also considered to be auspicious bodily symptoms. In this connection, one old gopi informed King Nanda, "Your son possesses various wonderful faint lines on his palms. There are the signs of lotus flowers and wheels on his palms, and on his soles there are the signs of a flag, a thunderbolt, a fish, a rod for controlling elephants, and a lotus flower. Please observe how auspicious these signs are."
Yeah, thank you. So, the signs described here, the lotus flower, wheel, a flag, thunderbolt, fish, rod, lotus flower. Again, they are very auspicious signs, and they are present in the palms and the soles of the feet of the Lord. Actually, there's a book that describes these signs on the lotus feet and hands of Radha and Krishna in a lot of detail. So maybe you can Google it or find it to purchase. It's very, very interesting. All the signs explained in some detail.
Prabhu, we can do a special class on that.
Yeah, we probably could, except that I don't understand myself, so I'll be just reading it. So, but yeah, we could one day do that. It is very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, next paragraph.
You can read, Prabhuji.
Please do.
3. Pleasing. Beautiful bodily features which automatically attract the eyes are called ruchira, pleasing. Krishna possesses this attractive feature of ruchira in his personal features. In the 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, verse 13 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement about this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his pleasing dress, appeared at the scene of the sacrificial arena where King Yudhishthira was performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. All important personalities from different parts of the universe had been invited to the sacrificial arena, and all of them, upon beholding Krishna there, considered that the Creator had ended all of his craftsmanship in the creation of this particular body of Krishna.
Oh, sorry, is that the end of paragraph?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay,
Sure,
it goes on for another few lines. But anyway. Actually, you may as well read the next 4 lines.
Okay. It is said that the transcendental body of Krishna resembles the lotus flower in 8 parts, namely his face, his 2 eyes, his 2 hands, his navel, and his 2 feet. The gopis and inhabitants of Vrindavana used to see the luster of lotus flowers everywhere, and they could hardly withdraw their eyes from such a vision.
Yeah. Yeah, so, very pleasing bodily features of Lord Krishna, and nice example of him showing up at the Rajasuya sacrifice that Yudhishthira Maharaj had arranged, actually upon insistence by Lord Krishna. And basically, a very interesting comment was made by people who considered that the Creator had ended all his craftsmanship in the creation of this particular body of Krishna. Obviously, these guys did not recognize that Krishna is the Creator. So Krishna is the creator of his own body. So yeah, clearly there's nobody else who's whose body or who is anything like Krishna. Very, very special. And then very interesting point is being made in the second paragraph, which is that his eyes, his hands, his navel, his feet, they resemble lotus flower. Not literally, but in some ways they remind people of lotus flowers. So whether it's the fineness, whether it's the softness, or whether it's the just luster, but these things remind people of lotus flower, and that's why we always say lotus face, lotus eyes, lotus hands, lotus navel, lotus feet. That's the reason we do that. Okay. All right. Any questions, or we go to the next paragraph?
Prabhuji,
Huh.
can you again explain the last line of first paragraph of pleasing?
What I was saying was that these people did not realize that Krishna was the creator. So Krishna is the creator of his own body. If we can talk about creation, because it always exists, there's no question of creating it. But I'm just talking in a very loose way that if we can talk about creating, then Krishna is the creator. And obviously he did his best job on himself. And then he delegated it to Brahma, who did a good job, but clearly not as good as Krishna can. So that's just the point. The point was mainly that they were not realizing that Krishna is the creator. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
One more question, Prabhu. So here it says that Krishna's body had all those symbols, right? Yeah. And the gopis are also telling Nanda Maharaj. So even after seeing and knowing that one who has all these symbols is God, even then they denied that Krishna is the God.
Well, why just this? He lifts the Govardhan for 7 days. He kills Putana, who's 12 miles long, when he's 6 days old, and keeps killing demons left and right. All these other wonderful activities. Some people, friends of Nanda Maharaj, actually saw Krishna in Golok Vrindavan being served by all these demigods and even Lord Vishnu. So they saw all that. And then they said, Mother Yashoda saw universal form twice in his mouth. So after all that, because of the instruction of Lord Krishna to Yogamaya, they would forget. So the answer basically is they knew it, but they didn't know it, because they kept forgetting by the influence of Yogamaya. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then let's move on. Number 4.
Prabhuji, may I read?
Of course, Mother, please go ahead.
4. Effulgent. The effulgence pervading the universe is considered to be the rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The supreme abode of Krishna is always throwing off the effulgence known as Brahma Jyoti, and that effulgence is emanating from his body. The luster of the hosts of jewels fixed on the chest of the Lord can defeat even the luster of the sun, and still, when compared with the bodily luster of the Lord, that crest of jewels appeared to be only as bright as one of the stars in the sky. Therefore, the transcendental influence of Krishna is so great that it can defeat anyone. When Krishna was present in the sacrificial arena of his enemy King Kamsa, the wrestlers present, although appreciating the softness of the body of Sri Krishna, were afraid and perturbed when they thought of engaging with him in battle.
Yeah.
Jai.
So isn't this beautiful again? So first of all, I'm sure we all knew this already, but the Brahma Jyoti, upon whom everything is resting, is nothing but the rays from the body of Lord Krishna. So that's one point. The second point being made is that Krishna has a lot of jewels that he wears, and they're all more bright, more effulgent than the sun itself. But when it comes to comparing the bodily luster of the Lord, they're like one star in the sky compared to the sun. that gives you an idea of how effulgent Krishna's body really is. And it's not just effulgence, but we talk about aura for some people. So Krishna's aura is such that the wrestlers that he fought in the sacrificial arena of Kansa, they appreciated the softness of the body of Krishna, because how old was Krishna at that time?
10 year, 10 months.
7 months.
From last week, 10 years, 6 months, 7 months, sorry. So yeah, so you can imagine how soft the body of a 10-year-old boy would be. So they were looking at that, but they were also familiar with the reputation of Krishna. So they were actually afraid. And they had just seen him kill Koliapid, the elephant. So they were actually afraid, but they had no choice. They had to engage. Okay. Any questions, or we go to the next paragraph? Okay, go ahead. Next paragraph, please.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Of course. Balaram can read it.
So it's the strength, strong, right? Prabhu?
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. A person who has extraordinary bodily strength is called Baliyan. When Krishna killed Arishtasura, some of the gopis said, "My dear friends, just see how Krishna has killed Arishtasura. Although he was stronger than a mountain, Krishna plucked him up just like a piece of cotton and threw him away without any difficulty." There is another passage wherein it is said, "Oh, my dear devotees of Lord Krishna, may the left hand of Lord Krishna, which has lifted Govardhana hill like a ball, save you from all dangers."
Yeah. So what form was Arishtasura?
Bull.
Yes. So yeah, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that first time Krishna picked him up and threw him very far. Basically, Arishtasura was completely dazed. What happened? And then after he killed him, Krishna picked him up and went up and down like a piece of rug that people sometimes wash it, so that they hit it on the ground. They lift it, hit it to the ground, lift it, hit it on the ground. And that's what Krishna was doing with a demon who was the size of a mountain. Same thing with Putana. I mean, she was 12 miles long. Krishna was 6 days old at that time, the body of a 6-day-old. So yeah, very, very strong. I mean, his expansion, Sheshna, he lifts all the universes on his hood like mustard seeds. So you can imagine how strong that must be. Okay, next paragraph.
I will read, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
No, go ahead.
Ever youthful. Krishna is beautiful at his different ages, namely his childhood, his boyhood, and his youth. Out of these three, his youth is the reservoir of all pleasures and is the time when the highest varieties of devotional service are acceptable. At that age, Krishna is full of all transcendental qualities and is engaged in his transcendental pastimes. Therefore, devotees have accepted the beginning of his youth as the most attractive feature in ecstatic love. At this age, Krishna is described as follows. The force of Krishna's youth was combined with his beautiful smile, which defeated even the beauty of the full moon. He was always nicely dressed in beauty surpassing even Cupid, and he was always attracting the minds of the gopis, who were thereby always feeling pleasure.
Yeah. So not just beautiful, but also ever youthful. Prabhupada always said, you never see a picture of Krishna with a beard or looking like 125 years that he was when he wrapped up his pastimes. Always looks Nitya Kishore Kishori. Kishore Kishori is almost 16 years old. So both Radharani and Lord Krishna, they look, in all their pastimes, they look 16 or younger, never more than 16. In Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, they always Nitya Kishore Kishori. almost 16 years old. So that's the point being made here in this particular paragraph. And very, very attractive, very, very, so combine the beauty with the strength and the youthfulness, it becomes very attractive. That's why he's known as Madan Mohan. He attracts even the Cupid and he surpasses in beauty the Cupid. Okay, any questions or next paragraph? Any volunteers?
Can I read? Prabhu?
Please go ahead.
7. Wonderful linguist. Rupa Goswami says that a person who knows the languages of different countries, especially the Sanskrit language, which is spoken in the cities of the demigods, as well as other worldly languages, including those of the animals, is called a wonderful linguist. It appears from this statement that Krishna can also speak and understand the languages of the animals. An old woman in Vrindavan, present at the time of Krishna's pastimes, once stated in surprise, "How wonderful it is that Krishna, who owns the hearts of all the young girls of Rajabhumi, can nicely speak the language of Rajabhumi with the gopis, while in Sanskrit he speaks with the demigods, and in the language of the animals he can even speak with the cows and buffalo. Similarly, in the language of the Kashmir province and with the parrots and other birds, as well as in most common languages, Krishna is so expressive." She inquired from the gopis as to how Krishna had become so expert in speaking so many different types of languages.
Yeah. Actually, it reminds me of one time His Holiness Radha Goswami was saying that somebody asked him, "So Krishna can speak all languages?" And Radha Goswami said, "All but Arabic," meaning that it doesn't want to have anything to do with the Muslims, but everything else is fine. So anyway, Krishna can speak all languages. Bird language, animal language, human language, from all sorts of areas. Okay, number 8.
I can read, Prabhuji. There's no
Please do, yeah, sure.
8. Truthful. A person whose word of honor is never broken is called truthful. Krishna once promised Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, that he would bring her 5 sons back from the field of Kurukshetra. After the battle was finished, when all the Pandavas had come home, Kunti praised Krishna because his promise was so nicely fulfilled. She said, "Even the sunshine may one day become cool and moonshine one day become hot, but still your promise will not fail." Similarly, when Krishna, along with Bhima and Arjuna, went to challenge Jarasandha, he plainly told Jarasandha that he was the eternal Krishna present with one of the two with the 2 of the Pandavas. The story is that both Krishna and the Pandavas, in this case Bhima and Arjuna, were Kshatriyas, warrior kings. Jarasandha was also a Kshatriya, and he was very charitable toward the Brahmanas. Thus, Krishna, who had planned to fight with Jarasandha, went to him with Bhima and Arjuna in the dress of Brahmanas. Jarasandha, being very charitable toward the Brahmanas, asked them what they wanted, and they expressed their desire to fight with him. Then Krishna, as Brahmana, declared himself to be the same Krishna who was the king's eternal enemy.
Okay, yeah. So even when you could justify telling a lie, Krishna wasn't going to tell a lie. You know, he identified himself, he identified the Pandavas, Bhima and Arjuna, and said, "We want to fight. That's why we are here." So an example of always telling the truth. He's known as absolute truth, so it's not surprising, but that is one of his qualities. Okay, any questions? That was go to number 9. A volunteer, please.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Pleasing talker. A person who can speak sweetly even with his enemy just to pacify him is called a pleasing talker. Krishna was such a pleasing talker that after defeating his enemy Kalia in the water of the Yamuna, he said, "My dear king of snakes, although I have given you so much pain, please do not be satisfied with me. It is my duty to protect these cows, which are worshipped even by the demigods. Only in order to save them from the danger of your presence have I been obliged to banish you from this place."
Go ahead, finish it.
Okay. Kalia was residing within the water of the Yamuna, and as the result, the back portion of the river had become poisoned. Thus, so many cows who had drunk the water have died. Therefore, Krishna, even though he was only 4 or 5 years old, dipped himself into the water, punished Kalia very severely, and then asked him to leave the place and go elsewhere. Krishna said that Krishna said at that time, the cows are worshipped even by the demigods, and he practically demonstrated how to protect the cows. At least people who are in Krishna consciousness should follow in his footsteps and give all protection to the cows. Cows are worshipped not only by demigods, Krishna himself worshipped the cows on several occasions, especially on the days of Gopashtami and Govardhan Pujas.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, nice example given about Kalia, how nicely he spoke to Kalia, and how politely. I mean, just look at it. I'm sorry I've given you so much pain, but please don't be dissatisfied with me. That is humble, and then giving the reason why he did that, so at least you understand why you got the punishment. And then his relationship with the cows, just amazing. Like we all know the story about when on Gopashtami, Mother Yashoda gave him new shoes, he refused to wear them. Said, unless you make shoes for all the cows, and calves are not wearing them. So yeah, very, very pleasant talker, sweet talker. And all the sweet talking he used to do with the gopis, especially Radharani. So yeah, very much. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, next one, please.
I'll read it, Prabhu.
Please do.
Then, fluent. A person who can speak meaningful words and with all politeness and good qualities is called Vavadukka or fluent. There's a nice statement in Srimad Bhagavatam regarding Krishna speaking politely. When Krishna politely bade his father, Nanda Maharaj, to stop the ritualistic offering of sacrifice to the rain god, Indra, a wife of one village coward man, became captivated. She later thus described the speaking of Krishna to her friends. Krishna was speaking to his father so politely and gently that it was as if he were pouring nectar into the ears of all present there. After hearing such sweet words from Krishna, who will not be attracted to him? Krishna's speech, which contains all good qualities in the universe, is described in the following statement by Uddhava. The words of Krishna are so attractive that they can immediately change the heart of even his opponent. His words can immediately solve all the questions and problems of the world. Although he does not speak very long, each and every word from his mouth contains volumes of meaning. These speeches of Krishna are very pleasing to my heart.
Yeah. So a few points are being made that we should repeat. We know that some people, as soon as they start talking, you are turned off. Some people, when they start talking, you want to hear them. So it is that quality, how they speak, what words they use, that makes the difference between wanting to hear them, not wanting to hear them. There is a saying that says, speak in a manner that people love to listen to you. And that's a quality we should all develop. But of course, that quality is in Krishna to the fullest. The words are so attractive that they attract the heart and change the heart of even the enemies or opponents. Other thing is, whatever he says have meaning in them. There is a saying in Hindi which says, "Bahut kaha," sorry, "Thoda kaha, bahut samajhna," which means I've said only a few words, but please see the meaning behind them. There's a lot of meaning behind them. As opposed to many people in this world, which is "Bahut kaha, thoda samajhna," means they talk a lot, but after half an hour, you have no idea what they meant. What is it that they're trying to say? No idea, but they just keep talking and talking and talking. So it's the totally opposite of that, where he speaks few words, but there's a lot of meaning. So for example, I mean, when was it that he spoke for almost 45 minutes non-stop? Almost non-stop.
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita. Every verse or shloka in Bhagavad Gita is so full of meaning, you can talk for hours just trying to explain what that one verse means. Because it's so condensed, it's so meaningful, it's so precise that there's a lot of meaning hidden in just one sentence or one verse. That's what they're talking about here, the quality of fluency. Okay, unless there are questions, we go to number 11. There are about 16 people on this call.
I can read, Prabhuji. I'll go ahead.
Please do. Yeah, thank you.
11. Highly learned. Okay. When a person is highly educated and acts strictly on moral principle, he is called highly learned. A person conversant in the different departments of knowledge is called educated. And because he acts on moral principles, he is called morally stout. Together, these two factors constitute learning. Krishna receiving education from Sandipani Muni is described by the Narada Muni as follows. In the beginning, Lord Brahma and others are like clouds of evaporated water from great ocean of Krishna. In other words, Brahmas first received the Vedic education from Krishna as the clouds receive water from ocean. That Vedic education or instruction which was spoken by Brahma to the world was then reposed upon the mountains of Sandipani Muni. Sandipani Muni's instruction to Krishna are like a reservoir of water on the mountain, which flows as a river and goes again to the mix with the source of ocean of Krishna. To be more clear, the idea is that Krishna actually cannot be instructed by anyone, just that the ocean does not receive water from any source but itself. It only appears that the rivers are pouring water into the ocean. So it is clear that Brahma received his education from Krishna, and from Brahma via the disciplic succession, this Vedic instruction was distributed. Sandipani Muni is linked, likened to the river which is flowing down again, so that same original ocean of Krishna.
Yeah. So does everybody understand? That's the explanation. You know, the point being made that Sandipani Muni is teaching Krishna, and you say, how can somebody teach Krishna? He already knows everything. So the point is being made that Krishna is the original source of the knowledge, like the ocean. And he gave that knowledge to Brahma. So the simile is that the sun evaporates the water to make it clouds. Those clouds, when they rain on the top of a mountain, they become like rivers. Those rivers flow, and they flow into the ocean. So one could say that, well, wait a minute, the river is giving the water to the ocean, but it's ocean's water. So similarly, it's Krishna's knowledge the Sandipani Muni is giving, having received it from the Shastras spoken by Brahma, and then giving back to Krishna, the ocean itself. So is that clear? Is it too circuitous? Yes, no?
Yeah, example is nice, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's clear. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Thank you. So a similar example is when Lord Chaitanya took initiation. Who did he take the initiation from? No.
Advaita.
So, I'm sorry, sannyas initiation. I'm sorry. Sannyas initiation.
Ishu? No.
Ishwarapuri.
Hmm?
Advaita.
No,
Ishwarapuri.
no. Sannyas initiation. My wife is saying
Ish-
Keshav Bharati.
Ishwar Puri.
Keshav Bharati. No, Ishwar Puri was his
Yeah.
first initiation, the Harinam Sankirtan, Harinam initiation. Keshav Bharati. So Keshav Bharati gave him mantra. But where did he get the mantra from? Lord Chaitanya whispered the mantra in his ear and then he repeated that to give to Lord Chaitanya. So again, same idea. He got it from Lord Chaitanya and gave it back to Lord Chaitanya. So ocean is Lord Chaitanya, river is Keshav Bharati, giving it back to Lord Chaitanya. So it looks like Lord Chaitanya got the mantra from Keshav Bharati, but no. Keshav Bharati first got the mantra from Lord Chaitanya. Okay?
I'll continue, Pooja.
Yes, please.
Yeah. This the Siddhas, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, where all are born with fully developed mystic powers, and the Charanas, the inhabitants of the similar planet, pray to Krishna as follows. My Lord Govinda, the goddess of learning is decorated with 14 kinds of educational ornaments. Her intelligence is all pervading within the 4 departments of the Vedas. Her attention is always on the law books given by great sages like Manu, and she is apparelled in 6 kinds of expert knowledge, namely Vedic evidence, grammar, astrology, rhetoric, vocabulary, and logic. Her constant friends are the supplement of Vedas, the Puranas, and she is decorated with a final conclusion of all the education. And now she has acquired an opportunity to sit with you as a class friend in a school, and she is now engaged in your service.
Yeah.
I'll continue, Guruji.
Please.
Okay. Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, does not require any education, but he gives a chance to the goddess of learning to serve him. Being self-sufficient, Krishna does not require the service of any living entity. Although he has many devotees, it is because Krishna is so kind and merciful that he gives everyone the opportunity to serve him, as though he requires the service of his devotees. Regarding his moral principle, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is ruling over Vrindavan as death personified to the thieves, as pleasing bliss to the pious, as the most beautiful Cupid to the young girls, and as the most munificent personality to the poor men. He is as refreshing as the full moon to his friend. To his opponents, he is an annihilating fire generated from the Lord Shiva. Krishna is therefore the most perfect moralist in his reciprocal dealings with the different kinds of person. When he is death personified to the thieves, it is not that he is without moral principles or that he is a cruel. He is still kind, because to punish thieves with the death is to exhibit the higher quality of moral principle. In Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna said that he deals with different kinds of persons according to their dealing with him. Krishna's dealings with the devotees and with the non-devotees, although different, are equally good, because Krishna is all good. His dealing with everyone are always good. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So actually, the last line is very meaningful. Because Krishna is all good, his dealings with everyone are always good. What does that mean? It means that he's always fair to everyone, and he always has the other person's best interest in mind, long-term interest, not necessarily short-term interest, and is only thinking about good of these people. Even when he's killing them, he's only thinking of good for them because giving them salvation, so at least they are liberated from the material world. Okay. unless there's a question, we can move to the next paragraph.
I can read, Prabhuji.
I can. Okay.
Go ahead, please, please.
No, please, Mother, go ahead. I'll read the next one.
Okay. Highly intelligent. A man is called intelligent if he has a sharp memory and fine discretion. As far as Krishna's memory is concerned, it is said that when he was studying in the school of Sandipani Muni in Avantipura, he showed such a sharp memory that by once taking instructions from the teacher, he immediately became perfect in any subject. Actually, his going to school of Sandipani Muni was to show the people of the world that however great or ingenious one may be, he must go to the higher authorities for general education. However great one may be, he must accept a teacher or spiritual master.
Right. So just here, I just wanted to mention that the importance of a guru is being mentioned here. He went to Sandipan Muni not because he needed education, but because he wanted to demonstrate to the world that everyone needs a spiritual master, a guru, and to learn things in the right way. Okay, go ahead with it.
Krishna's fine discretion was exhibited when he was fighting with the untouchable king who attacked the city of Mathura. According to Vedic rites, those who are untouchable are not to be touched by the Kshatriya kings, not even for killing. Therefore, when the untouchable king seized the city of Mathura, Krishna did not think it wise to kill him directly with his own hand. Still, the king had to be killed. And therefore, Krishna decided with fine discretion that he should flee from the battlefield so that the untouchable king would chase him. He could then lead the king to the mountain where Muchukunda was lying asleep. Muchukunda had received a benediction from Kartikeya to the effect that when he awoke from his sleep, whomever he might see would at once be burned to ashes. Therefore, Krishna thought it wise to lead the untouchable king to that cave so that the king's presence would awaken Muchukunda and he would at once be burned to ashes.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what was the name of this demon?
Kaliyavan.
Yeah,
Kaliyavan. Yes, correct. Kaliyavan is correct.
Kaliyavan.
Anyway, you all know the story. So that's basically being described. And the point is that look at the discretion Krishna used. He didn't fight. He said, no, you're untouchable. I don't want to fight you. But he has to be killed. So he knows the pastime of Muchukunda and what happened with the demigods and the benediction he had. So he goes and disturbs Muchukunda's sleep, hides himself. In the meantime, Kaliyavan shows up. He's the person Muchukunda sees when he wakes up and he burns to ashes. So again, point being made, he uses discretion even in the fighting. Okay.
And
Prabhuji, why was he an untouchable? Like, what is
just
that?
the birth, his birth.
Oh.
By virtue of birth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Prabhuji, was that your question?
No.
Okay.
So I'm just confirming. And that's why Krishna got the name Ranchor, right? At
Correct.
that time.
That's right. That's right. Has anybody been to the Ranchor temple?
Hey, didn't Krishna get the name Ranchor for Jarasandha?
No. This is Kaliyavan.
No, he fled from the battlefield, Prabhu, right?
That was the battlefield with Kaliyavan.
There is a temple in Baroda.
Yes, not Baroda, but near Baroda, called Dakor.
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah, beautiful temple. Beautiful deities.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for clarifying, Prabhu. All these days I was
So,
thinking
Mother,
it was...
with Jarasan, he took the whole city and went to Dwarka. But that's not the reason he's called Ranchor.
Oh.
He basically just took the whole city and everybody in the city and went to Dwarka.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying, Prabhu.
Sure, no problem. Okay. Genius. Who wants genius?
Can I read Prabhu Genius?
Of course you can.
Genius. A person is called a genius when he can refute any kind of opposing element with newer and newer arguments. In this connection, There is a statement in Padyavali which contains the following conversation between Krishna and Radha. One morning, when Krishna came to Radha, Radha asked him, "My dear Keshava, where is your Vasa at present?" The Sanskrit word Vasa has three meanings. One meaning is residence, one meaning is fragrance, and another meaning is dress. Actually, Radharani inquired from Krishna, "Where is your dress?" But Krishna took the meaning as residence, and he replied to Radharani, "My dear captivated one, at the present moment, my residence is in your beautiful eyes." To this, Radharani replied, "My dear cunning boy, I did not ask you about your residence. I inquired about your dress." Krishna then took the meaning of Vasa as fragrance and said, "My dear fortunate one, I have just assumed this fragrance in order to be associated with your body." Srimati Radharani again inquired from Krishna, "Where did you pass your night?" The exact Sanskrit word used in this connection was Yamin Yamushita. Yamini Yam. Wait, Yamin Yam means at night, and Ushita means pass. Krishna, however, divided the word Yamin Yamanushita into two separate words, namely Yaminya and Mushita. Oh my God. By dividing this word into two, it came out to mean that he was kidnapped by Yamini at or night. Krishna therefore replied to Radharani, "My dear Radharani, is it possible that night can kidnap me?" In this way, he was answering all the questions of Radharani so cunningly that he gladdened this dearest of the gopis. Oh my
Yeah,
God, so
yeah,
beautiful.
so beautiful. Yeah, he was very good with words. Okay, any questions on that? Let's move to next one. 14, artistic.
I can read again, Prabhuji.
Sure, go ahead. Nobody else wants to.
Artistic. One who can walk and talk and dress himself very artistically is called Vidagdha. This exemplary characteristic was visible in the personality of Sri Krishna. It is spoken of by Radharani as follows. "My dear friend, just see how Krishna has nicely composed songs and how he dances and speaks funny words and plays on his flute, wearing such nice garlands. He has dressed himself in such an enchanting way, as though he had defeated all kinds of players at the chessboard. He lives wonderfully at the topmost height of artistic craftsmanship."
Yeah. Okay,
I can read Prabhu again.
please go ahead.
15. Clever. A person who can perform various types of work at once is called clever. In this connection, one of the gopis said, "My dear friends, just see the clever activities of Sri Krishna. He has composed nice songs about the coward boy and is pleasing the cow. By the movement of his eye, he is pleasing the gopi, and at the same time, he is fighting with the demons like Aristasura. In this way, he is sitting with different living entities in different ways, and he is thoroughly enjoying the situation."
Boy, talk about multitasking. Yeah, he can do everything at the same time. Amazing. Okay, next up, 16.
I will read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Expert. Any person who can quickly execute a very difficult task is called expert. About the expertise of Krishna, there is a statement in the 10th canto, 59, 9th chapter, verse 17 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Sukhdev Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, "O best of the Kurus, Sri Krishna cut to pieces all the different weapons used by different fighters. Formerly, fighting was done by releasing different kinds of arrows. One party would release a certain arrow and the other party had to defeat it by counteracting it with another arrow. For example, one party might release an arrow which could cause water to pour from the sky, and to counteract this, the opposing party would have to release an arrow which could immediately turn the water into cloud. So from this statement, it appears that Krishna was very expert in counteracting the enemy's arrows. Similarly, as the rasa dance, at the ras dance, each and every gopi requested that Krishna individually become her partner, and Krishna immediately expanded himself into so many Krishna in order to coupled with each and every gopi. The result was that each gopi found Krishna by her side.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro. Okay, unless questions, let's move to the next one.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Number 17, grateful. Any person who is conscious of his friend's beneficent activities and never forgets his service is called grateful. In the Mahabharata, Krishna says, "When I was away from Draupadi, she cried with the words, 'Hey Govinda.' This call for me has put me in her debt, and that indebtedness is gradually increasing in my heart." This statement by Krishna gives evidence of how one can please the Supreme Lord simply by addressing him, "Hey Krishna, Hey Govinda." The Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is also simply an address to the Lord and his energy. So, to anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and his energy, we can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It is clearly stated in this verse that anyone who addresses the Lord immediately attracts the attention of the Lord and who always remains obliged to him. Another instance of Krishna's feelings of obligation is stated in connection with his dealings with Jamban. When the Lord was present as Lord Ramchandra, Jamban, the great king of monkeys, rendered very faithful service to him. When the Lord again appeared as Lord Krishna, he married Jamban's daughter and paid him all the respect that is usually given to superiors. Any honest person is obliged to his friend if some service has been rendered unto him. Since Krishna is the supreme honest personality, how can he forget an obligation to his servitor?
Yeah, this is very, very applicable quality of Krishna for us, because it reminds us that anything, even the littlest of the service, like picking up a piece of paper from the temple floor, is noticed by Krishna and remembered by Krishna, and he feels obligated. You know, he talks about how indebted he felt to Draupadi just because she called his name, Hey Govinda, you know, and similarly, you know, point is being made that we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how much indebted Krishna becomes to any devotee who's chanting sincerely, thus explaining the importance of chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is one quality that, you know, we can relate to very much and should try to learn from Krishna, that we should imbibe that quality at least. Others may not be under our control, like his beauty or his bodily features or his genius and cleverness and expertise, etc. But this certainly something that we can do. And therefore, it's one quality we should all imbibe, the gratefulness. As a matter of fact, without gratitude, we cannot make progress on the path of devotional service. It's finished. And okay, so that's it for today. Any questions or comments? Okay, so my question is to you, is it useful to read all these in this class for you, or would you prefer that you just read at home and we move on to the next chapter?
Prabhu, we read, I think this is good.
Okay. Any other person wants to make a comment?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can continue reading it.
Okay.
It's really helpful. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Any questions or comments? Okay, in that case, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare
Thank you all.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
You're
Krishna. Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.